everyone. It's your girl Radiant. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today, I want to welcome my guy Bryant. He's here with us today, a.k.a. King Gato. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Rachel. How you doing?
I'm excellent. A little tired, but I can't complain. I'm blessed.
Right.
So we're gonna start off first by saying, unfortunately, regard to, if you don't know, the passing of Chadwick Boseman. It's a sad, very sad weekend, but you just try to all make the best of it, the best way that we can. To an icon, also a king. May he rest in paradise. And our condolences go out to his friends, his very close friends and family, and all the fans, of course. So with that being said, we did promise you guys that we'd be talking about mental health today and mental illnesses and things like that. But from a he said, she said standpoint. So we're both going to have different perspectives as well. So just keep up with us, okay? I just can say, like, during COVID, you guys know that I've touched base on that before previously, but it seems like it's getting a little more stable, but it just depends on where you are. But mentally, I can say, like, for me, I haven't been, like, really traveling too much, but the traveling that I have done, it kind of, like, messes with your psyche a bit, like, kind of, like, anxious and get a little anxiety about, like, certain procedures and being around people in different states and not knowing what their what guidelines they're going to be taking. So, like, with that, it's kind of nerve-wracking. Like, how have you been feeling with everything as far as COVID and even with working?
I mean, as far as COVID, it's just a crazy situation to be living through, in general. And I work at a mall, so it's like, the first week and a half that we were open at the mall, it was like an insane amount of people like that. The month of July, I think we made over $130,000 just selling hats and stitching on hats and stuff. I work at Lids. So all we really do is sell hats. So to sell $130,000 worth of hats, where the previous year, 2019, I only made $200,000 the whole year. And then I made more than half of that in a month time just because of the amount of volume we were seeing was insane. So it's like as soon as as soon as the gates was open, there was a flood of people just coming into the mall, which
just waiting.
Yeah, which is kind of worrying. Like, you would have to worry about that because you would be around much more people than you would be when the mall would be regularly open. Like, July would be one of our slowest months in the retail world. July, August, June, some of our slowest months. Mm-hmm. But it's the last two and a half months has been insane.
That's crazy. So, like, you said, like, you said July, for this past July, like, you guys had a lot of, like, big sales?
Yeah, I mean, a ton of big sales, people buying, like, 10, 15 hats at a time, and just the amount of people we would see in a day was just absurd. Like, it wouldn't even make no sense to me at the end of the day when I looked at the numbers.
And that's nerve-wracking, like, probably, like, for you guys. Like, what were the procedures for you guys as far as, like, COVID, like, the distancing? Of course, the 6 feet, but...
I mean, it doesn't really work that way in my store because my store is a relatively small store. Like, my capacity is 9 people at a time. So that includes the workers at the time. And if we're understaffed and I'm busy, like, helping a customer and somebody's busy at the register, we wouldn't have enough people to cover the door or let people would just flow in. Mm-hmm. So it's very nerve-wracking. Retail is a very hands-on business, so you're really in close proximity to a lot of people at once.
That's right. How have you, like, felt, like, because I'm sure, like, you get customers and too, like, that are frustrated or don't want to necessarily follow the rules or just don't understand. Like, how have you been, like, coping with that? Like, are you Does it frustrate you?
I mean, not really, because it's kind of like a line that we had to cross, like a line we had to draw in the sand or whatever. You have to wear your mask to enter the store, and at any point in time, you have to have a mask on. So, and a lot of the stores in the malls would do that now. Since it's been a little time, some of the stores are more lenient on that stuff. But you know, my store hasn't changed as far as that stance of wearing a mask at all times.
Okay.
And I feel as though if I have to wear a mask the whole time I'm at work, the 15, 20 minutes you spend in the store, you can have a mask on.
That's right. I like that. You definitely have to, like, anywhere you go, like hotels, restaurants, if it's outdoor dining or even indoor dining, like you don't have to wear your mask, of course, if you're eating, but it's still, you know, walking in, and even if you're maneuvering around a restaurant, you have to put your mask back on. It's the new normalized thing, unfortunately. I think it's going to be for a while, too.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere no time soon, because we haven't even gotten into, like, the winter months where people naturally just get sick.
Exactly. That is what I don't want to say fearful of, but it can get confusing because it's, you know, around that time. We talked about this earlier, like flu season, common cold, so it'll be hard to differentiate.
Yeah, I mean, people get sick just from the change of the seasons and stuff.
Exactly. So, like, somebody coughing, oh, wait, hold on, what is it, COVID, coughing, flu, what? So, like, that alone, like, can trigger, like, for a lot of people, some kind of, what you call it? Definitely frustration, right. A lot of anger.
Yeah, and that could just naturally be somebody's defense mechanism, you know, to lash out and stuff like that when things aren't necessarily going their way.
That's right, or depression.
That too.
You know, that's right. That's right. You know, I did want to ask you too. Like, do you have anything like how have you been? I guess we can say coping, like mentally, like as far as just we can talk more like recent things, like as far as like with the Chadwick thing, just this year alone, like with COVID-19. I don't know like what you've been dealing with personally, but like mentally, cumulatively, how has everything been as far as that mentally for you?
I mean, everything's been kind of weird. Just like it's a weird situation. Like before the stores opened, the malls opened back up. No, I was quarantined, spending a lot of time by myself, with myself, and you know, trying to just find things that fill in the time and stuff like that. So
understand.
But most of all, you just start to get to know yourself for real. You know, doing little things that finding new habits or new hobbies that help you pass the time.
For me, sometimes for me, I have like little, I guess you could say panic attacks sometimes. Like not recently, but I can say like with the protesting and stuff when that was happening and the rioting, amidst COVID and stuff. It kind of like for me, I'm like. It's a lot going on, and I didn't feel that it was taken too seriously by a lot of people. Like, there's more, like, crowds and things like that, and it's like, I just, like, would kind of freak out, like, a little bit. Like, and it's strange, because it's, unfortunately, again, it's our new normal.
Yeah, I mean, we're, like, in a constant stage of just reevaluating everything, ourselves, the society, COVID stuff in general.
Right.
So honestly, it's just a constant state of reevaluating and just adjusting to everything that's changing. Because honestly, from when COVID started to the riots to now, going through more of the police brutality stuff, even though there was such an emphasis on that at the point of the riots and stuff like that, it was such a huge. Everybody, I don't understand what's going on because police should know that they're being watched like more closely than ever. And then for this most recent shooting that happened. The name of the gentleman escapes me. I think it started with a J, and he was shot 7 times going into his car. His name is escaping me at the moment.
It's okay. Sorry, but it's like that situation amongst others. Like it's It's ridiculous,
Right.
and unfortunately, but fortunately in a way, it's just being reported a lot more now. But it's been happening.
Oh yeah.
You know, this is not like new news. Now I'm no. I swear that I tell you guys this every time, but I am no psychiatrist. I'm no psychologist. I don't claim to be that because I don't have those credentials. But I do stress that I did recently receive a certification in mental health studies, just because I'm building towards wanting to help more with our community, and especially minorities wise. I don't think mental health and illnesses within its own is taken seriously enough, or it's kind of underappreciated. Most of it is shunned upon, especially within the black community, but also in others, just mental health in general, but especially for the black community. A lot of our parents and grandparents and so forth, like, they do not or have not taken the time to get themselves treated or receive proper treatments or therapies or evaluations to be diagnosed.
Right.
And that's where that's kind of like where people get things misconstrued with, because mental health actually is it's kind of like think of it from a physical standpoint. Like, you want to take care of your physical being. Overall, you go to the doctor, you get normal checkups, whatever, and so forth. It's the same with mental health. You want to take care of your psyche and your emotional stability, and make sure that it's cool. And when you put things under mental illness, that's when you fall into diagnosis and clinical treatments, and a lot of mental disorders, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, substance abuses. The list goes on, honestly. But a lot of people are, unfortunately, have been, I guess you can say, living with a lot of mental disorders and illnesses and don't know, because they're not necessarily diagnosed. Do you know of anybody close to you that suffers from any mental illnesses or disorders?
I mean, not that anyone's been diagnosed, obviously, because a lot of people in urban communities need to put up this very tough front, as if they got everything together. As though they're solid individuals, even though mental health is something that everyone deals with, even if you are not even if you don't have a disorder or any of those things. Everyone's mental health changes from day to day depending on the experience of that day. Something could have got you down and now you're beating yourself up, and that's messing with your self-esteem, as far as long as with your soul as well, because your soul plays a big part in your mental health. You mean the energy that you give off and stuff like that. If you're having a bad day, you're giving off really negative energy, and people could pick up on that, and sometimes you could get negative. You don't mean to give out negative energy. You might receive negative energy at the same time.
That messes with you.
Exactly. So that brings you even further down. And I know from a man's perspective, we never really want to show our weaknesses. And a mental health, letting people into your mental health space or into your thoughts in general is a very weakening state for a man. You were very vulnerable at that point in time, because if you're leaving yourself open for evaluation, you're leaving yourself open for somebody to pick you apart at the same time. It's even though they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you, they can easily do as much harm as good as they wanted to. You know what I mean? Even though they had such good intentions, they could do just as much harm as good, depending on the situation and the conversation.
When you let them in.
When you start talking about your emotions, your mental state, what you're going through, what you're thinking, especially what you're thinking, you leave yourself vulnerable for somebody to pick you apart and pretty much weaken you from the inside out. You know what I mean? So it's a front that every man